Welcome back to the Cat Knit Podcast. My name is Grace, and today is Monday, March 9th. This is a podcast about knitting, books, baking, and cats, but most importantly knitting, because that is what I love to do all day, every day. And goodness gracious, do I have a lot to show you this week. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, I have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Ravelry. I'm most active on Instagram, so please go follow me over on there, or all of the above, or none of the above as well. I have show notes for the stuff that I will be talking about in this week's episode. They will be in the blog, or on the blog I should say, which is linked down below if you're on YouTube, or if you're on my blog, everything is already there. I also work at a yarn store. It's called The Modern Skein in Montgomery, Texas, and all that information, address, social media will be everywhere, so please go check us out. We have our 2-year anniversary coming up this coming weekend, which is super exciting. We've got trunk shows, we've got fun stuff, so please come say hi if you are local or visiting or whatever. We'd love to see you and just hang out with you. So I was gone last week because I had the flu. We'll talk about that in a moment. But because I've been gone, I did get quite a lot of knitting done, which is really amazing. I do feel a little out of practice. That's okay. Life happens, it'll be fine. So let's just go straight into the episode, shall we? Because I am running a little bit behind on my time-wise this morning, so let's just get started, shall we? If you would like to grab something tasty to drink, something to snack upon, or craft upon, laundry to fold, or an animal to snuggle, or all of the above, or none of the above, or whatever else you would like to do or needs to get done, because we all have to-do lists, and inevitably those to-do lists don't necessarily get done during the day, so yay for multitasking. Anyway, positivity. To-do lists will get done. You will get your to-do list done today. I have full confidence that you can do it. You got this. So, if you would like to do any of those things, you can come back and join me for some crafty chat. So yes, first off, I was gone last week. Like I said, 2 weeks ago, I felt terribly ill on Wednesday night, Tuesday night. I don't remember which one. I think it was Wednesday. Wednesday I wasn't feeling great. Wednesday night I did not feel good. And so I went to the doctor on Thursday, found out I had flu A, took all the medicine, all that jazz. It's taken me a while to get back to normal. And I felt so bad that I didn't really knit at all during that first week. Like, it was real rough. It's bad. When you feel bad when you don't feel like knitting, and you're not like, I'm just gonna make myself do this because I know it'll make me feel better. I was like, nope. I just do not feel like doing literally anything except just dozing on the couch or in the bed and watching Netflix or listening to an audiobook that I don't really care about, because I'm really not feeling good. So there's just a lot of sickness and illness going on, and it's not great. So everyone, please just wash your hands. Wash your hands, please. But second week, last week, I was still not feeling super great on Monday, which is why I didn't record, so I do apologize for that. But I am back. Taking time for your health is important, and content is not like the top priority when it comes to that. So I do love the podcast, but also I needed to get well. So that was why I did not record. I also had like a constant cough, and so I would have been coughing every other word, and I would have had to edit that out, and it's just like, don't want to deal with that. So I did get a lot of knitting done last week, and fortunately for me, unfortunately for you, one of those things is something that I can't show you yet. It's a shawl for Diane, the Suburban Stitcher, or the dyer behind the Suburban Stitcher yarn. It is her DFW colorway, which is currently not canceled. The event, I know that they're watching that pretty closely, so depending on what the Irving Convention Center and people in Dallas say about that and the coronavirus, I don't know what all is going on with that. But anyway, if it does happen, there will be a shawl there out of the new DFW Fiberfest colorways that Diane has made. And it'll be in the shawl. It'll be amazing. I really have enjoyed knitting it. I'm almost done. I'm literally like halfway through the border. And then I have a wonderful picot bind off, and I'm just really looking forward to that. So I can't show that to you quite yet. But I'm sure there'll be pictures and stuff of it around. I have knit on a lot of other things, and I have finished, like, done the finishing touches on things, like my Zweig. This was my birthday cast on last year, I believe, and it was one of my languishing whips for last year as well, because I did not finish it on time. That's okay, you know, life happens, other things happen, there's a lot of patterns that just are very distracting. So this finally got blocked. I'm not gonna say that all the ends are woven in, because I definitely tucked in the ends to my sleeves when I put this on this morning. But we've all been there, we all do that. It's nothing that we're hiding. We just know. I'm pretty sure there's an end right here. You can't see that very well, but that's definitely an end. Anyway, so this is my Zweig. This is by Caitlin Hunter. The brown is Malabrigo sock in the Cordovan color, or Cordovan. However you want to say that. I am always very confused what I should say. Anyway, you hopefully know what I'm talking about. And then this is Madeline Tosh sock in the Marfa colorway. And I actually haven't tried it on until this morning. And I love it so much. My new favorite thing. I'm very sad that it's getting warmer now. I think we had our last cold front this past weekend. But hopefully, who knows, I don't know. I would really love to wear this for something. Oh my goodness, I love it so much, and the fit, and it's just like, I don't know, I did a good job. I'm just very happy with how it turned out. So that was the first, like, finishing touches. Obviously, the ends still need to be woven in. But I also finished, blocked, ends have not been woven in, but that's okay. Really, who has time for ends? This is the Lillian cardigan by Carrie Bostic Hodge. I taught this as a class at the Modern Skein sometime last year, and I've had this done. This was actually one of my sweaters for 2019, and the body was done. Pattern-wise, it was done, and I decided that I wanted pockets, so I added pockets, and those pockets are done, and they're huge, and they're amazing, and I love it so much. So I am very happy with it. I then blocked it, and I am very, very excited about it. It's this beautiful navy color. It's out of Barocco Vintage DK, so I know it'll wear well. It's so soft, and I just really, really love it. And again, this is like, though this is a sweater from last year, it does, I would say that it applies to this year's goals, knitting goals, of knitting something that I would be more likely to buy. I think that falls into it. Also, I feel like this falls into it as well, although this was, again, a sweater from last year. We can still count that? Do we count that? I don't know if we can count this one necessarily, but I did. I added pockets to that to make it more, like, interesting to me or more appealing to me. I don't know. Next up, those are my finished objects for sure. And minus the ends, of course. So I finished those things, kind of was not in a knitting slump necessarily. I will say that having the week of no knitting, because I was not feeling good, was not very good for my knitting mojo when I was the beginning of the following week, and it was just like, okay, come on, I'm feeling better now, should be able to knit, should be really excited about it. Wasn't that way a ton. It's kind of a bummer. I was kind of sad about it, but that's okay. That's okay. But I was working on this shawl for Diane, which I can't show you yet, but you're going to be very excited to see these colors because they are just so gorgeous and I love them so much. So yeah, I was working on that a lot, and I just, in regards to my other projects, I was just like, nah, I don't really want to work on any of these things. I don't really know what I want to work on. Like, I want it to be mindless, but I don't want it to be too mindless. I want something that's exciting and not boring, and something that is like new to me, and I just want to do something fun. Not to say that the stuff that I had been working on currently or like in previous weeks was not fun. I was just not in a good knitting headspace. Clearly because I was still getting over the flu. And the flu will do that to you. The flu will make you feel terrible and also kill your knitting mojo. Not fun. I haven't had the flu in a very, very long time, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I can be very grateful, though. I will say that I was not the flu where you throw up all the time. I didn't have that flu. That would have been really terrible. Also, it was really hard that week because Sam was gone on a business trip and then a youth group event, and I'm so glad that he got to do those things because it was a cool work event, and then he got to go to a youth group retreat thing with some of the kids from our youth group, and that was wonderful. But also, I was home and I was ill and I did not feel good, and though I love Birdie very much and he is quite helpful when you are not well, he is not super helpful in regards to like taking care of the apartment while you are ill and making sure that things just kind of stay clean. So it was an exciting week for sure. My parents very kindly brought me lunch and some HEB meals and some medicine at one point, which was very kind of them, and I really appreciated that. But again, I don't want to make it sound like Sam shouldn't have gone on these trips, because he definitely needed to go because it was his work and it was the youth group stuff, and that was really important. Anyway, what was I talking about? How does this have to relate to knitting? Knitting mojo. So because I was like, nah, I don't know what I want to work on, I just really want for something exciting and something new, or something that I haven't worked on in a while, because that would also kind of be a new project for me. But not new really, but you know what I mean. Like, I'd have to look at the pattern and figure out where I was and blah blah blah. So I pulled out several old languishing whips that were kind of at the bottom of my knitting container, project container, that's currently holding all the languishing whips. And one of them I didn't really work a ton on, just because I pulled this out later in this time that I was pulling stuff out. I don't know. It was not the first one that I pulled out, let's just say that. But I knew that I wanted to work on it. And this is Anna's cardigan by Petite Knit, I believe. I'm very, very much debating whether I should keep using these needles, because I just I don't really like this yarn on wooden needles because it's super grippy and it's awesome. Like, I love this yarn. This yarn my parents got while they were at Slip Stitch in London, which is owned by a friend of mine. Her name is Rosie, and she's a wonderful human being. And I hope someday to be able to visit her store myself. But my parents got this yarn from her. So it's Drops Charisma. It's like a DK? Worsted? I think it's DK. It's 100% wool. It's awesome. Color is a 54 if you're interested, because that's super descriptive. But it's kind of like it's almost like a purpley dark gray. Like, this gray has purple blue undertones, and I really love that. That's what really sold me on this color. And I realized that it's showing up much more blue in person, and it's actually warmer in person, but that's okay. It's super fun. But on wooden needles, it's just really grippy, and I don't know, I think it's just not my favorite. Like, that, this has nothing to do with the yarn or the needles, really, because I know this is a decent pair of needles. It's just that this looks like a sweater, doesn't it? Totally looks like a sweater. It's a top-down raglan, very simple, basic, but it's just got these eyelets over the whole thing. You can kind of see there. So I worked a couple rows on this. I actually am pretty close to dividing for the sleeves. I didn't realize how close I was until I picked it back up. And I was like, oh, I only have like 5 more increase rounds to do. But the needle situation, I need to figure that out. There are some other projects that I have that I would prefer to use those needles, so I might work on those projects, get those done, and then switch these needles over. Just because I think also, I'm not sure if I'm super happy with my gauge on this. I know that I have knit quite a lot, and it's kind of not a no-no to change your needle size at this point, but let's just say I've definitely done this before. And I've definitely done it before at times that it was even more knitting had been done. Probably not a great thing to do. This is a do as I say, not as I do moment. But I might go up a needle size. I just, like, when I was knitting on it, my hands started hurting. Or not hurting, but they just got really tired really quickly, and it was very weird because I hadn't been knitting on it for very long, and it's not like I had been knitting a lot on something else beforehand. It was just like, why is this happening? I don't really like this. I need to fix this. I think it's my needles. So I think going up a needle size and just finding needles that are a little bit smoother. I know I have wooden ones that are smoother, that are the size that I would want. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I don't know. But it's also living in my Ginger Twist bags. Ginger Twist Studio. She has a yarn store in Edinburgh, and it is so cute. She just recently redesigned it, and the pictures look amazing. I also just want to be her with her style and her sweaters because she's just so adorable. She keeps posting these sweaters or pictures of these outfits with her sweaters, and I love them, and I want to make all of them, and we don't have that climate. It's very sad because she's got all these adorable cropped, like, and not all of them are cropped, but they're all bulky and they're like really awesome, and she layers her knitwear and it looks so cute, and I love it. But it's not cold here all the time. Like, it's definitely cold, but even then, like, if I were to layer knits, I wouldn't need a jacket. Like, but that's okay. We're not complaining. We like living in Houston. It's just the weather sometimes can be a pain in the butt. But we make it work. So next up, we'll do this one. I have worked on a lot when I've been with people, because this is like truly the ultimate mindless knit, and I love that. What time is it? I need to make sure. Okay, we should be okay. Still doing okay. This is my Sea Vogger by Kate Davies. This is a pullover. It's a striped pullover with dropped sleeves, and I've knit quite a lot. I do have a progress keeper, and I can't find it. There it is. It's on the seam, and yes, I realize that the seam looks very ugly because of my yarn changes. But yeah, from here to... Really? I feel like I've knit more than that. Oh, maybe I switched it. I had like here, and then I moved it. So in the past 2 weeks, I've done this much. Boop, 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 boop. Yes, I've taken this with me to some meetings that I've gone to recently. It's just very mindless, and I am almost done with the first little ball that I rewound that was for sure falling apart, and this does bother me, but that's okay. We just can't control everything the yarn does. Sometimes the yarn has a mind of its own, and we're not going to worry about it. It's going to be fine, and even if I have to untangle it, it's really going to be okay. And then this is the other bit of the brown that I still have going. I have 2 skeins left of each color. I'm running out of the brown earlier because I did have the ribbing at the bottom. But yeah, I think last time I measured, I think I have like 10 inches out of, I don't remember however many I need, but something that's more than 10, but not too far away. It's not like 20 inches. It's something like 14 or something like that. I don't remember how much. But anyway, the inches don't matter. All I know is that I'm close. And it's been really fun. It's definitely been the ultimate mindless knit, and I do love that. Don't fall and get more tangled. I do love a good mindless knit. My yarn, by the way, is Knit Pick Stroll Tweed in the Farmhouse Heather and the Rabbit Heather colorway. So the Farmhouse is the light brown, and the Rabbit, no, Farmhouse is the dark brown. Rabbit is the light brown. So it's a very like economical sweater. I think the total, it might have been something like, I think it was less than $20, which is amazing. And I know it'll wear well, and I really love that yarn. I love the fact that it's tweed. It really just kind of adds to the look and style of sweater that I really wanted, and it's so soft, and it's just really fun to knit with, and I can just go to town and get a lot done. So would highly recommend the pattern and the yarn for sure. So next up we have another Languishing Whip. I know, I still have one more project to talk about, but I just have a lot to talk about. This is another Languishing Whip that I was just like, I need something exciting, and so I pulled this out, and it really, I think this was the thing that really turned my knitting mojo around, because it was different. I hadn't worked on it in a while, and it's on massive needles. It was instant gratification, and I felt so good about myself, and I was just like, oh, I know why I like doing this. Of course, oh yes, I just love knitting all this stuff again. I love it. I did put a progress keeper, so you can see how much I got done. I think I got all this done in one sitting, though, which is pretty awesome. So this is my Somber shawl. Clearly very somber. My Somber shawl by Sylvia McFadden, or Soft Sweater. This is very, very bright neons, and then a very dark charcoaly black. This yarn was special to me because I got it at Houston Fiber Fest last year from Amanda Hope Yarn. This is her Aussie single base, I believe. Do I have her ball bands in here? I believe I do. Haha! And I've got stitch markers. Oh, I wondered where those went. It's like Christmas. Yes, so I have the Aussie Extra Fine Single. It's a super wash single ply 19.5 micron extra fine merino wool. So needless to say, it is very soft. Let's see, there we go. She is a Houston, someone who lives in Houston. I don't think she's actually from Houston originally. I think she might actually be from Louisiana. But she does currently live in Houston, which is pretty awesome. So the bright color is called Spring Fling, and then the dark is called Charcoal. Charcoal? Charcoal. Does it matter? No, it doesn't really matter. Although coal is technically in the name, so you would pronounce it like the word coal. Not that this really doesn't matter. We're moving on. So, this is knit. I'm knitting this on a size 9. And I love it so much. So the Progress Keeper is where I picked this back up and knit that much in one sitting. It was really awesome. I mean, when you think about it, that I'm using fingering weight and a size 9 needle, it's really not a whole lot. But it's still something. It was enough to get my Mojo back up and running. This also has fun memories because I started this last year when Sam and I vacationed with his family in Alabama, and this was one of the ones that I had like, this is gonna be my road tripping project, like this is gonna be one of them, and I'm gonna love it so much, and I'm really excited about it. And I'll knit the ranunculus on these big needles that I have, and then I will knit my somber shawl. It was awesome. So let's just remember how amazing this yarn is. I know it's going to be kind of blown out on my camera, but like, it's just amazing. And like this purple that's in there, like, oh my goodness, I love it. Can we even, like, it's not showing up at how dark this purple is, but it's like dark purple, and so it's just such a beautiful pop in this light colored base, that the dark purples that also have tinges of pink to them, and like it's a dark blue purple. It's just so amazing. She does such incredible yarn. And then the charcoal, I don't know. It's just gorgeous. I will say that when I was knitting solely on the black part, if I remember correctly, it was coming off on my hands, so I probably will not be wet blocking this, just because I do not want the colors to run. I think that would be very sad. So I'll probably like be steaming it. But one thing I do remember, I remember talking about this forever ago, last time I worked on this, but this is a very super easy shawl to make. Just because the instructions are so wonderful. Sylvia writes incredible patterns. They're so well written and they're so well explained, but also this is as wide as it's gonna get. Like I'm done increasing stitches. Right now I'm increasing and then I'm decreasing, so everything's just staying even. I know it looks like I'm increasing on this side, but I'm still decreasing in the middle, right here. Right there. So you're probably like, why in the world does that even matter? Like, who cares? But that just means, like, for me, that I know that, like, I don't have to worry about my rows getting longer anymore. Like, it's still gonna be a fast knit because it's just so many stitches wide. It's not gonna keep on increasing like a Stephen West shawl, for example, that you may end up, there's a good chance you may end up with like 800 stitches at the end. there's a good chance. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just gonna take more time than it would to knit something like this. So if you're looking for something like a shawl that is still a good size shawl, because it will be very long, and I think it'll, when I steam it or do whatever I'm gonna do to it, when I block it of sorts, it will end up much bigger. But if you're not a fan of knitting mile-long rows, then this is a good option for sure. And actually another shawl that I'm working on is very good for that as well. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's a very interesting shape and the striping sequence is very fun. I'm actually very close to being done with it. I say very close, it doesn't look like I'm very close. In the striping sequences that are written out, I'm like on the third one, and there's only 4 striping sections. It's just that this current section that I'm on gets repeated a bazillion times. But that's okay, because my rows are still gonna be the same amount of stitches. Like, it's not gonna grow, it's not going to get bigger and get longer, stitch-wise. Lengthwise it will. So, I'm really loving this. I'm really glad that I pulled this out again because it just reignited my joy for this, and just the colors. I'm really excited about these colors. So I will move this progress keeper and we'll see where I get to next week, because I'm very excited about this. And I think I got it down because I remember when I was working on it before, I was having a hard time kind of like keeping track of the striping sequence, because certain rows you have increases, some rows you don't, even though that's a right side row, and it's just kind of tricky. Not tricky. It's just getting into like your the flow of the striping sequences with your increases, and I think it was probably because I was in the car and we were on vacation. There was just a lot going on that I just couldn't get into a rhythm of increasing and striping. But when I was sick on the couch and didn't have any distractions except for Netflix and an audiobook, I got it down just fine. So it definitely takes, for me anyway, I would say that that's my experience. Just like, okay, let's figure out a way that I can say this in my mind that makes sense and I can see what I need to do without having to look at the pattern all the time. And ta-da, I'm ready to go. So now I can take this with me wherever I go, and it's a new portable project, so that's nice. So lastly, my next project, I have gotten a lot of progress on. Unfortunately, I do not have a progress keeper, and I don't actually remember where I was last time I showed you. So, yes. But anyway, so this is my birthday cast on from this year, which I'm having so much fun knitting on it. At the time, or not at the time, but for a while, I was definitely a little like, I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I feel terrible, and I don't want to work on this, and why am I working on this? I don't like this, I feel so bad. This has nothing to do with anything in regards to this project, because I love this project so much. It was literally just the flu talking in my head. So we can blame the flu for my lack of knitting mojo, which I think is very legitimate, and I don't feel bad about doing that. Anyway, that's doesn't really make any sense, nor is it relevant to the podcast. But anyway, this is my Free or Fade by Andrea Mowry. This yarn I have saved for this particular shawl for a very long time. This is dyed for knitting. It is a dyer, I believe he lives either in Oklahoma City or Tulsa. I should probably look that up, because I keep saying the one or the other, and I really just dye for knitting. He makes the most beautiful stuff. Like, he makes so many Stephen West patterns, and they're all just so gorgeous. He's an incredible knitter. But yeah, so he, I believe is from the Tulsa area, now we know, and he, just recently knit a bubble cowl by Stephen West, and it's full of amazing colors, and it's just so gorgeous, and it was very inspiring. But anyway, he dyed this yarn, and I love it so much. His speckling is just so incredible. So down here, the slider color is called Alchemy. This is my favorite color out of all of them, because it's like this pinky, dusty, light mauve, and it's got like all these incredible speckles. Just all the colors. Like, there's not a color that is not included in these speckles. And I get by with a little help from my friends. And then my third color will be this. Oops. And now I can't remember what the name of this is, but I do have the thing down here. What is this called? No, that's Alchemy. No, that's the other one. There it is. Time Bomb? Time Bomb. Of course, I remember what it is as I pull out the ball band. But yes, so this is just bright pink speckles of blue, navy, black, orange, purple, a little bit of brown. It's awesome. So I know last 2 Sundays ago I was working on this striping sequence. I do know that. And that means that I probably would have showed it to you that following Monday, and then I got sick. So probably around here-ish is the last time you saw it. So I've gotten quite a bit done. And I will also say that this is another pattern where the final stitch count really isn't that big compared to other shawls. This is an asymmetrical shawl, so in the end it'll be kind of like this. And can we even with that fade? Like, can we even? This yarn is just so beautiful. So yeah, I am loving working on this middle section because it's my favorite color out of all of them. I love all of them, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be this middle one. But yeah, for some reason, I don't know why. I think it's just because with this other shawl that I can't show you, because I was just on a roll, I got so much done. Like, the day that I started feeling better, I knit, I don't know how much, but it was a ton, and it was just like, because that's a very accurate and descriptive way of showing how people knit. It's more like this. But yes, so I got a lot of knitting done, and because I think those rows are huge, those rows are very long, and I was reading at the time, which was super awesome. I have a book to talk about. But because those rows were really long, I was really used to long rows, and so when I started working on this Find Your Fade and the somber shawl, I was just like, whoa, these rows are so short, I'm just going by lickety-split, I'm doing awesome, getting so much done, this is amazing. So it was all good. I do believe that like I said, the finished stitch count for the Free Your Fade is still not very much. It is bigger than the somber shawl, and it's definitely over 200, but it's still not like 726. Nothing like that. I could see myself definitely making another one of these, the Free Your Fades, because it's a very fun knit, and it's very mindless. And again, so I was thinking about this yesterday. I was doing an eyelet row, and I realized that I was having trouble, like, remembering the pattern and just like not having to constantly look at okay, I knit one, yarn over, knit two together, knit one, yarn over, knit two together. And for some reason I couldn't remember that. And so I reshuffled things around, so the beginning of the row I said that, or I emphasized that differently, so it made sense in my mind. But what I thought was interesting is that I had the same problem with the Find Your Fade, the lace sections. Like I didn't find that very easy for whatever reason. It has nothing to do with the lace or the pattern or anything like that. For some reason, my mind was just like, I don't understand this. What is going on? You don't remember this. You can't remember this. But with this one, once I thought about it and once I kind of situated it, and obviously I know that the row ends with a certain thing and it begins with a certain thing, but I say that differently, so it doesn't quite make sense, but in my mind it makes sense, and it helps me remember the pattern and not have to look at the actual written pattern as much. Does that make sense? Does anybody else do that? Like they're just, you don't rewrite the pattern necessarily, but you just kind of like rephrase it. That's a better description. I rephrased this certain line of pattern so it made sense in my mind and it was easier for me to remember. And then it also got to a point where I was kind of like knitting in a rhythm, and I was like dun 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 dun. Fun fact, I did that yesterday. I know I've definitely done this before, and I feel like there are other people out there who do the same thing. I don't know that, but I feel like there are. Because I mean, like, it's not the fault of the pattern or the way that it's written at all, because so many other people have done it and done it quickly and they don't have a problem with it, but it's just the way that I, for some reason, am reading it and registering it and understanding it, that it's just like, doesn't make sense, doesn't make as much sense. You understand what's going on, but you can't remember it as well. So, I don't know. So very quickly, I would like to discuss a book that I finished recently, a book that I finished within 2 days, and I'm not sad that I finished in 2 days, but I'm also kind of sad that I finished it in 2 days. I was on a reading roll and a knitting roll. It was just all good. I was feeling so much better. And that book is The Sentences Death by Anthony Horowitz. It is the second book in his Hawthorne series. And oh my goodness gracious, everyone. I've talked about his books before. I am a massive fan of his books. I haven't read any of the Alex Rider books, but I have read the Sentences Death, Magpie Murders, and The Word is Murder. Is that what the other one is? I don't know. I've read those books. And I'm also a huge fan of Foyle's War, and I know that he's done, like, Agatha Christie adaptations before, and he did Midsummer Murders, and he's done all that stuff, so, and I love those things. And his books, oh man, if you love a good crime novel, if you like stuff like Shetland or Broadchurch or The Stranger on Netflix, which is also a very good crime show, or BritBox in general, because there's just so much stuff on there that are like crime shows. Stuff like that. If you like that, you will love this book, because he just writes the most twisty-turny books ever. And it's also, like, one thing that I was thinking about is that the twisty-turnies aren't necessarily just only at the end. There are other twisty-turnies that are sprinkled throughout the whole book that you either do notice or you don't notice, and then they come back into play at the very end, and you're like, whoa, 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 that happened, and I didn't actually realize that that was a big deal, but that was shocking, but I didn't realize that that would play into the ultimate ending of this book. I don't really know what to say besides please read this book if you like crime, mystery, books like that. It's a good one. It's very good. I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say that it's way better than the first one in his series or the other book that he's written. But it's just, they're all very individual. Like, they're all just, they can stand by themselves, and it's just like, oh, what? Wait, what? What? I started this book, what day was it? Last Thursday? Last Wednesday? Something like that. And I read almost half of it in a day, and then the next day I finished it. Did stay up very late to finish it, but I just couldn't stop because once you pass a certain point in any kind of mysteries, whether it be a book or a movie or a TV show, once you get past a certain point, there's like no stopping unless you have incredible self-control, which I apparently do not have because I needed to know what happened. We do this with shows all the time. If it's a mystery show and we get past a certain point, it's like, well, we've got 2 episodes left. We got to find out what's going to go on because, like, there's just so many plot twists. We got to know. We got to know. But there's nothing wrong with that. I really do enjoy that. We were very sleepy the next day. And I don't know, but it was worth it. It was very worth it. It was very good, so I would highly recommend The Sentence is Death by Anthony Horowitz. Yes. I think it was about 370 something pages, so it wasn't super long, but it wasn't like 200 pages. It was longer. But it goes by so quickly because he's such a good writer and you're just very immersed in the characters and the places and locations. And it's like, oh, I love this so much. I love it. Which leads me to the next book thing that I'm going to talk about this current week that we are in. So when I'm starting this, you'll be in the middle of the week. Sam and I are participating in another readathon, or it's other readathons for me. This is Sam's first readathon, so it's very exciting that we're doing this together. It will lead to more evenings full of reading, which I'm very excited, and hopefully more knitting time, which is very great. Not that I don't knit a lot in the evenings, but it'll just be different types of knitting, I guess. This readathon is called the Backlist Readathon, and it's hosted by some booktubers. I think there's about 6 of them, so we have 6 prompts. Basically, backlist means something that has either been on the to be read or the TBR list, and or is something that is like an author's not most recent work, and so it's like maybe written in 2008 or something like that. Basically, it's anything that was written before 2020 is their cutoff. So it has to be 2019 or before. And it helps if it's been on your TBR list for forever. And I have some books for that. I don't remember. Okay, so let's go over this. One of them for the shortest book is The Willoughbys by Lois Lowry, which I've had on my Goodreads TBR list since like when I joined Goodreads, which is forever ago. I don't even remember when that was. Kind of like Ravelry. I don't remember joining. I don't remember becoming a part of it. I just always have been, apparently. I know I did join at some point. I just don't remember that moment when I did. So The Willoughbys, I have White Nights by Anne Cleves. So this is a Shetland mystery. So we have Jimmy Perez, and we have Lerwick, and we have Fair Isle, and all the wonderful things. That's an audiobook, and I started that this morning. So far, amazing. Loving it so much. So that is going to be a book that intimidates me, and then a book that I'm most excited about. And I picked that for those two prompts because, like, for some reason, if I've seen something in a TV show, especially a TV show that I feel very strongly about, I am less likely to read the book afterwards, specifically with mysteries, obviously, because you've seen the mystery, you know who did it, blah blah blah. It's just not, the shock factor is no longer there. But like, we don't have New Shetland currently, and I've never experienced the books before. I've tried, and there was one that I kind of stumbled my way through, but I really wasn't paying very much attention. So this one, I'm just kind of like, I feel very intimidated, and I just really don't know how it's gonna go, but I am still very excited about it because it's Shetland, and her descriptions are really good, so it's kind of like you're watching the show. But having seen the show, I now can imagine what that would look like, and I follow Instagram accounts that are on Shetland, and I can see what it's actually like in real life, and it's not like, it's not imaginary, it's an actual place, and there's a coffee shop there that looks amazing, and there's yarn stores there, and it's just so wonderful. I really want to go there someday. So that's another book, an audiobook. Another audiobook that I will be starting later in the week once I'm done with White Nights is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookshop, I believe, by Robin Sloan. And this was recommended to me by a friend who said that she enjoyed it more than Sourdough, which I think is very interesting. So I'm very excited to see if I also enjoy this more than Sourdough. I'm very much looking forward to it. It's gotten a lot of really, really high reviews, and so that's just very exciting. My fourth book that will also have 2 prompts, so you don't have to read 6 books necessarily unless you really want to. So you can double up with your prompts, which is really nice. Another book that has 2 prompts is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I don't remember who wrote it. It's basically a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And that's for a book with a diverse character and blue on the cover. So, this is another one that's been on my TBR for forever. And it's maybe a year ago. It was like the popular retelling fantasy book that had just come out. So I've heard a lot of people's opinions about this book, and a lot of people really love it, so I'm very excited to read it. And it's just that I haven't taken the time to read it yet, but now is the time. Readathons are the best time to read stuff that you wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, I'm just gonna sit down and read this one book that I've been thinking about for a long time. It's like, no, you have a list of books to get through. This is the week to do it. This is the goal, to finish all of these books within the week. My last readathon was very successful, like incredibly successful. So I'm very excited about this one. I've got 2 audiobooks and 2 reading with your eyes books. So I'm excited. I think it will be fun. So I have talked a lot, and I really should probably go. I have to go, usually leave in about 20 minutes. So this has been a good episode. This has been a good episode coming back. Thank you so much for being patient with me while I was gone. I should be right as rain. All good things. I don't know if I'll have as much knitting content to show you next week, but who knows? Because we have a readathon this week, I could be, I don't know, just depends. But yeah, so there's all the social media stuff, show notes, yarn store stuff, that will be everywhere, show notes on my blog, all that jazz. If you have any questions, or if I forget to include something in my show notes, please let me know, or just send me a message and ask me. I'd be very happy to help. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and you continue to have a wonderful week. I hope that the fall back with daylight savings time didn't affect you too terribly much. Not a fan. Not a fan. I think, like, even though losing an hour is technically, it feels worse than gaining an hour, like, either way, everyone's schedules are thrown off and everyone's body clocks are thrown off, and it's like, why? Don't like it. I don't like it. Granted, we can see how light it is now, and that's pretty amazing. But granted, I am a little bit behind, so I don't know. Hopefully, it didn't affect you too much. Hopefully, you're still sleeping well, getting enough sleep that you need. Hopefully, you're not ill or sick or going to be sick. Hopefully, that would not be good. Wash your hands, stay safe, all that jazz. All the good things. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and you continue to have a wonderful week. If you have crafty plans, I hope that they are successful. Just moving forward with all projects, all patterns. If you have a knitting mojo crisis, I don't know, either cast something on if you want to do that, or you can pull out a really old languishing whip, and that'll pretty much do it, unless it's just a really boring languishing whip. Which it could be. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, that really did help my knitting mojo just kind of get kicked back into gear, which was very exciting. I'm glad that that worked. Yeah. Is that everything? I think I said everything. This is usually the middle part is not the time where I feel out of practice. It's the beginning and the end when I'm like, wait, what do I say again? I haven't said this in a long time. I don't remember what I say. I'm pretty sure I've said everything. If I haven't, I do apologize. Let's just remember I haven't recorded in 2 weeks. So, yes. I hope to take finished object pictures of other projects, because I also finished my snowberry cowl. I don't think I had finished it completely when I showed last week, because I think I was just getting ready to block it, and I've now sewn the ends together and worn it quite a lot. And that was a nice, like, snuggly thing around my neck while I wasn't feeling good. It's just like, oh, this is so soft, and I love this. This is really great. Anyway, that should have been in the actual podcast, not at the very end. But now you know. Finished object pictures hopefully will be coming soon of all these things that I've finished. Blocked-wise, I finished knitting last year, but that is on the to-do list. Hopefully to be done this week. If not, oh well. Next week. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. The sun is coming in, so I'm getting blown out for sure, but that's okay. This podcast is coming to an end, or this episode is coming to an end. Hope you have a wonderful week. Blah, blah, blah. All that jazz. So with that, I will see you guys next week. Bye.